People take one look at me and go, "Ah, help, run! A big, stupid, ugly ogre." They judge me before they even know me. That's why I'm better off alone.
Let's talk about an animated movie that's potentially the antithesis to Disney movies, to fairy tales, to how things are supposed to be. Let's talk about Shrek. I'm not going to go into the whole cultural zeitgeist that is Shrek and all that entails. Shrek is love. Shrek is life. I want to talk about a soundtrack, specifically one song. I don't think anyone would argue that the Shrek movies don't have great soundtracks. I mean, ironically, the Shrek 2 soundtrack was just recently announced on vinyl, which kind of just proves how iconic the music is in these movies if it's getting a vinyl release over 20 years after being in theaters. Look, so what I really want to talk about is what's considered the saddest song in the Shrek movies. I think everyone is wrong with this one, and I can prove it. I think everyone automatically goes to Hallelujah with that scene where everyone's sad and prepping for Fiona's wedding to Lord Farquaad in the first movie. The scene is sad, sure, it's lonely and all of our heroes are separated. Hallelujah is a huge song for a lot of people, but it's more based on faith and even physical intimacy. It was originally by Leonard Cohen, I think. Also, low-key, I kind of feel like it should be disqualified because the song and the soundtrack use different versions of that song. The song is performed by John Cale in the movie, but if you listen to the soundtrack, it's actually by Rufus Wainwright. The difference might be caused by a licensing issue at DreamWorks. But again, there are two different versions for one Shrek, so it doesn't really make sense to me. Either way, I think another song takes the cake for the saddest Shrek song. So this song is clearly titled I Need Some Sleep by Eels. Someone in the Shrek studio is definitely a fan of Eels band because there's a song by them in 3 out of 4 Shrek movies. There's actually 2 songs by them in the third one, but nobody remembers that movie. Anyways, let's look at it in the context of the scene, the context of the song, and then go from there. Shrek 2 is all about acceptance and what you would do for those you love. The movie is iconic for so many reasons. It's honestly the perfect sequel expanding upon the themes of the first film, but in a bigger and more bombastic way. In the scene, Shrek had just gotten into an argument with Fiona's dad at dinner after already sort of being forced to go meet them in far, far away land. Obviously, you would have to meet them at some point, but this is still relatively fresh. Literally rewind back to one movie and everyone is trying to either kill him or is terrified of him just for how he looks. He's got the whole ogre aspect of it all for himself, but now it's not just him. It's Fiona he's ogrified, much to the dismay of her parents. In this world, she is a celebrity. She's a princess. Literally everybody knows her. They know that Shrek kept her a monster. Now Fiona is arguing with Shrek about how she sacrificed things for him and he yelled at her for it. The next time we see him, we get the scene. It starts with the clock ticking before the song kicks in and Fiona snoring next to him on her bed that's too small for the both of them. I know every single one of you watching this video has been there. Stuck in a room where you can't sleep, but someone next to you is sleeping just fine. They even got JT staring at him. He finally gets up and whoa, what is my boy doing? He's part of the bedtime sock gang? Oof. He gets up and wanders around, noticing all the little reminders of Fiona's childhood and her childhood dreams. He even sees dolls of her with a knight slaying an ogre. Basically a mini version of Shrek himself. Bro even sneaks her diary and reads it, realizing how much she fantasized about having her own Prince Charming. King Harold interrupts after ordering a freaking hit on his son-in-law, and Shrek tells him he was reading a scary story. Here's the thing. Everything about this screams, I don't belong here, to Shrek. He's the exact opposite of what Fiona always wanted, and he can't change that no matter what. Maybe Shrek is holding her back from everything she ever wanted. Maybe she would have actually been happier without him. You guys ever feel like that? As a kid, nah, he just can't sleep because that's what the song says. Mrs. Fiona Charming, am I right? But as an adult, man, it's easy to see your own faults. This is self-guilt on crack. The person you love the most literally has a toy of you getting slain, and she's cheering on the killer while simultaneously falling in love with him. That's some nightmare type shit, honestly. Guys, I literally go to sleep every night with the TV on to distract me from my thoughts. Shrek's got no out here. I want to switch gears though. Let's talk about the song. So we talked about how the Shrek soundtracks are special in their uses of songs, right? I love this one. Accidentally in Love, Funky Town, and I Need a Hero at the end. Fantastic. Ironically, this scene was the only part of the movie that made me feel uneasy as a kid. I'm not sure if it was just the voice singing it, but it felt so dark and gritty. His voice is rough and totally contrasts the small little twinkles in the nostalgic melody of this song. It's echoed and layered. The song is melancholic, which isn't new for a Shrek movie, but it feels different this time. Remember how I've repeated that this is the saddest song in the Shrek movies? This is what actually happened to the singer. So, The guy singing is named Mark Oliver Everett, again from the band Eels, but he goes by E. E was born in Virginia in 1963. In 1982, his father, Hugh, passed away from a heart attack. E woke up early feeling something was off, planning on registering for fall classes as he was 18 now, but instead he found his dead father's body. In 1996, his only sister, Elizabeth, who had struggled with mental health and addiction, had lost her battle and committed suicide. E was on tour when this happened. 2 years later, in 1998, his mother Nancy was diagnosed with lung cancer and died later that year. We're not done yet. E had a cousin named Jennifer. She was a flight attendant on American Airlines Flight 77. If that airline sounds familiar to you, it's because it's the plane that crashed into the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001. The most chilling thing about all this, at least to E, was that the plane struck the side of the building where his dad used to work. All this happened to one guy. I know this is technically a Shrek video, but imagine all of that for a second. You lose your dad, then you lose your sister, and right after that your mom dies. Then right after all that, your cousin dies in an act of terrorism sparking a years-long war with the Middle East. Now let's think about the lyrics of the song. The repeated "I need some sleep" functions almost like a mantra of emotional burnout. Not laziness, but the body and mind might finally shut down after all this prolonged trauma. He says lyrics like, "I can't go on like this," and that he tries counting sheep but there's one he'll always miss. There's so many things this man probably misses. So many moments were stolen from him. He even talks about putting the old horse down, hopefully sleeping, but in reality he's talking about ending his own life to put himself out of misery. The song acts as a lullaby, almost as though he's trying to sing himself to sleep because his family isn't able to anymore. The music is the comfort that he no longer receives, which ties into my favorite thing about the song. I want to stop for a second and truly say, imagine if all this happened to you. And like the chorus states, everyone says you're getting down too low. Everyone says you've just got to let it go. How could you actually move on from that? It feels so inconsiderate. I get people wanting you to move on and live and try to enjoy life, but you can't just let something like that go. So he says you just got to let it go 3 times. The first 2 times are him singing along, like everyone else pretending everything is fine. But the 3rd time he says it, it's like there's a shadow of reality kicking in. He's confronting the painful reality that he has to accept the deaths and just let things go, even if he doesn't want to. The sleep in the song isn't just about bedtime. It's about wanting a break from grief and suffering, wanting some time to breathe and relax. I think the song is universal. You don't have to be a character of tragedy to relate to this song. You don't have to lose someone in a freak accident. Someone doesn't have to die, and you don't even need to be alone. You aren't alone. E had his band, and I'm sure he had others. Shrek is Donkey and the fairy tale creatures, and Fiona. You are not alone either, and neither am I. I mentioned this in my Moon video, which if you haven't checked that out, you should go watch it. I actually really think it resonated with people. But I've had a period of my life where I wasn't sleeping at all. I think I was getting about 12 to 15 hours of sleep a week if I was lucky, like in total. Any sleep I got was full of nightmares of things happening in my life. It was honestly awful. This song really resonated with me during that time frame. I think that's why it's perfect for this scene. Shrek has grief of people literally wanting to kill him his entire life, and now he's permanently given that burden to Fiona and their potential kids. Fiona, her family, and the entire kingdom didn't expect that or even want that for her the entire time she was growing up. She was supposed to have the fairy tale ending. I told you at the beginning of this video that the Shrek movies are the antithesis to a traditional fairy tale. Is Shrek willing to do what it takes to accept himself and all of his faults and everything that brings to his new family? He is carrying his own grief around after years of losing those closest to him and staying on the move despite just wanting a break from all the pain. People are essentially telling him to move on and let all that pain go. Will he be able to continue creating art that speaks to his audience but allow himself to also mentally keep going? Is the grief too unbearable? Both of these guys could give up and leave in their own respective way, overwhelmed by what's happening around them. But here's the thing, neither of them stay there. Shrek spends the rest of the movie earning Fiona back and not only gaining respect of the king and queen, but also the kingdom. He kept moving forward with the writing and performing music, sharing his story, having his own child, and accepting the pain that he's endured, even doing interviews about it. And that's why I Need Some Sleep hits so hard in Shrek 2. It's quiet, yeah, but is layered with exhaustion, guilt, and grief. And ultimately, it's about resilience, about pausing, feeling the weight, and then finding the strength to keep going. So I want to ask you, if life knocked you down that hard, would you get back up? Could you? In conclusion, I Need Some Sleep might seem like just a quiet interlude in an animated movie, but it's carrying real weight. It's a trance. It's Shrek, insecure and unsure if he's doing the right thing, and it's E, carrying decades of loss and grief and moving forward through it all. Both remind us that it's okay to rest. It's okay to pause. But rest isn't the end of the story. Because eventually, you wake up and you keep going.
Just gotta let